As you can see, we have also called up the MD of the NPA, Hadiza Bala Usman, who joins us in our studio this morning to discuss this new direction from the NPA. Good morning. Thank you for listening to our call-up.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, with everything E, there's always this excitement, electronic. But then you also know that there are those who are against anything E, and they'll do anything to scuttle it. But as a form of background, really, why is this necessary?
The electronic callup is key. As you're aware, and as you said, anything electronic seeks to remove human intervention. And in so doing, it will eliminate aspects of rent-seeking, aspects of extortion. It takes away that idea that an officer, be it a Nigerian port security or police force or LASMA, that person is now the person that gives you the authority to go into the port. So that avenue where there is extortion possibilities and there is rent-seeking will be taken away from people. And of course, there will be an element of pushback. But we believe that that is the way to go. That is the future. We must ensure that we deploy the necessary technologies to assist and provide those platforms that are needed to move the country forward. So
a couple of issues came up with this new policy, which is meant to take effect on Saturday.
Yes.
I believe. Now, one of them is the fact that this is being paired with the gridlock, which we hate to see, I should say that, on that axis. So just how will this improve the gridlock situation? Because you met with the governor of Lagos State, and he said that this is the beginning of the end to that gridlock. So clearly there is going to be a huge journey ahead of us. So how is this meant to improve that?
You see, one of the areas around the gridlock is the need to have approved truck parks. When trucks do not have where to sit, a designated parking space, then they just drive onto the road and head towards the port and make our highways their car park, literally. So a key aspect of the electronic callup is the truck parks. We have a list of approved truck parks. We have 8 truck parks so far that have been so approved by Nigerian ports and Lagos State government. And all trucks that access the port or that intend to access the port, both for drop-off and pick-up of cargo, have to start their journey from those approved truck parks. So you must go and park in the truck park and wait and use the electronic callup to be called upon. So 1, you're parked in that location. 2, your cargo must be ready for collection before you start your journey. Or your cargo must be ready to be dropped off or picked up before you leave the truck park. So that sanity, that I would say proposed sanity, is what we believe would address the gridlock in the long run.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, maybe a naive question, but you've talked about the fact that, it's because some people just go to the ports without, just going to wait there for no just cause. This regime, what are the steps it seeks to eliminate so that things are much better? Just as you are. What are the steps that had hitherto been responsible for the gridlocks that we've had over the years that are being eliminated? What are these steps that have been eliminated?
Those clear aspects or steps, I would say, are that 1, your cargo has to be ready, meaning that the terminal operators would have concluded what is required to release your cargo. Nigerian Customs Service and all other agencies or inspection would have concluded on your cargo. And then the cargo is ready to be picked up, on which basis you, the consignee, would assign a transporter to pick up your cargo. Your transporter would log on to the app, identify the truck park that it wants its truck driver to be parked in. The truck driver will be in that park, and then the transporter would link the TDO, which is the terminal delivery order of your cargo, to the truck driver, and you link it, and the truck driver will receive an alert which says the cargo is ready, at which point that truck driver will be able to leave that truck park and scan his ID pass to enable him exit that truck park and drive to the port location. So all of those systems that hitherto were done manually, the transporter would have called it the terminal operator and, say, oh, my cargo is ready, and then he'll have the TDO, and all of those systems that are not domiciled in like a one-stop shop. Now everything is all combined together. So you as the transporter, you'll be able to see your TDO within the Eto App. You'll be able to see all the truck parks that are located in that place. You'll be able to see the readiness of the truck driver that is to pick up your cargo.
Well, I think you should, have a little sip
I'm actually
of water.
fasting, unfortunately.
Oh, wow. But then, just my apologies. You talked about the cargoes a lot.
Yes.
Is this a way of eliminating what is known as the multiple verification by multiple agencies, which has also, of course, been seen as a cause of delay?
Yes. That aspect is not within the electronic callup. That aspect, inspections, is led by Nigerian Customs Service. They're working on having an improved way of ensuring these inspections are done more efficiently. And they're deploying an e-customs, which I believe would provide that platform that would improve their own operations. We also hope to see the deployment of the scanners, which is also a key aspect of cargo inspections that will go a long way in assisting us. Because if you see all the containers for 2020, we have 1.6 million TEUs of container that came into Nigeria. And all of these containers have to be inspected manually. So if you imagine the delay of having to open those containers and inspect them by all the agencies, that is an integral part of the delay within clearance of cargo that we have.
All the agencies, my apologies, all the agencies said, this is still suggesting in a way, my apologies, that we still have to deal with interagency collaboration or interagency harmonization. When we had this conversation with the Honorable Minister of Transport, he referenced the need for the NPA to do a lot in ensuring that these agencies work together in a way that is processed so as to eliminate, this gridlock that we're trying to eliminate with this e-callup that you're talking about now. So what's the plan about unifying or bringing all the agencies under one institutional administrative process so that those conflicts that could be responsible for those gridlocks are also eliminated?
Well, the aspects that relate to agencies of government are actually inside the port locations, not outside. When you reference the gridlock. So those issues domicile inside. And if you recall, there was an executive order that was signed by the Vice President, which directed all agencies of government to conduct inspection in one location. That executive order was signed in 2017. Certain agencies of government have not complied. And one of the things that we had said is sanctioning for non-compliance of an executive order that was released cannot be done by Nigerian ports. If an agency of government violates an executive order signed by the Vice President, I believe the Vice President and indeed the Presidency should sanction that agency for non-compliance.
Clearly, that hasn't been done.
Well, that hasn't been done. The executive order, as I said, sought to have all agencies do inspection in one location. Hence, consignees don't have to have multiple areas of inspection. There is an executive order to that extent. Some agencies have not complied. There have been several explanations and justification for the non-compliance by these agencies. NPA has raised it to the Presidential Council of Ease of Doing Business that is chaired by the VP to ensure sanctioning for non-compliance. And as I keep saying, if a directive is given and agencies don't comply, if there are no consequences for action and inaction, then it's of no purpose. We must be held accountable for not complying to a directive. So, for example, we have 24-hour port operations that have been directed. All agencies of government are required to deploy personnel to have 24-hour port operations. We deployed our personnel, but the other legs were absent. And of course, we cannot sanction other agencies of government. We due attention to the Presidential Council of Ease of Doing Business to ensure those agencies also participate in the 24-hour ports. And that non-compliance and enforcement has to be done by the Presidency, by the arising from the executive order.
So clearly, I mean, those are the agencies that are scuttling this 24-hour operation.
Yeah, 24-hour port operations, yes.
Okay, a couple of issues have come up, especially in the implementation of this electronic callup system. It's called the Eto App.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
We'll take on some of these issues in a moment, so please stay with us. You're welcome back. So it has been called the beginning of an end to the gridlock and, of course, the corruption we've seen in the processes. But on the one hand, did you take into account the literacy level of the truckers, for example? Because the average mindset of a Nigerian regarding a trucker is a semi-literate person who probably won't be able to use an app. So how is that going to work?
We thought that through. one of the areas is that the transporter is actually the coordinator of the truck drivers. So the transporter actually takes lead in logging on, in determining the readiness of the TDO. All he would do is to assign it to his own truck driver. And that truck driver doesn't need to have an Android phone. He would have his message via SMS on his own phone. So literally his own aspect of the electronic aspect is for him to ensure that he's logged on, his phone is on the platform, his truck is registered, and then he's able to have that alert. But you see, Nigerians are actually quite literate when it comes to using the phone. You know, as hard as you may think it is, everybody knows how to find his way through WhatsApp, to find and navigate his way to forward all the jokes he wants to his own friends. So that aspect has been addressed. And
but I was also hoping that, I mean, this app will have a GPS,
yes,
for example, so you know where the trucks are per time. Because I'm thinking, if it's a callup system and you don't have to clog the roads, but you know that some might hear that their cargo is ready and they won't leave until maybe some hours after, and then everybody leaves at that time. So you understand, it might still cause some kind of gridlock. So is there a window, really? Is there a period that you say, well, if you don't get it within this time, then you're not going to get it, or you're going to pay a fine or what have you, so that we can stop the gridlock, which might happen if everybody goes at the same time?
Yeah, there's a scheduling which schedules and batches the trucks for them to move within a particular period. And if you don't exit within that period, then you're losing your slot. So there's clarity as to the batching and the movement. And within the structure of the electronic callup, we have the pre-gate. So if you leave, for example, a truck that is outside of the environment, you proceed from that truck park to Lily Pond, if you're going into Apapa, and to MOB truck park, if you're going into Tinkan, where you'd go for the second clearance, which is the pre-gate that will enable you access the port. So all of those are done scheduled, and they're done in batches. And one of the key aspects of the success to the e-callup is the compliance. The compliance for truckers that refuse to participate or just drive towards the port locations, which is where Lagos State Government, Federal Road Safety Corps, Nigerian Police Command are strengthening that. Any truck that is seen in those corridors would be impounded. The trucks will be taken away by LASMA, and there will be a fee before you can have your trucks released. So those issues of non-compliance are key, and our partnership with Lagos State and the respective police commands would ensure that that is achieved. Fundamentally, one of the things that we seek to do is to have locations where trucks park. And I keep referencing that, and I've been referencing this for the past 3 to 4 years, is if you don't designate a parking for trucks that access the port, everybody will just be on the road. Everybody thinks that they can just drive towards the truck park. And we've seen also the other leg to Apapa congestion is the petroleum product tankers. Lagos State Government is working with DPR as it relates to that. We're focusing on the aspect that has to do with the accessing the port locations.
I'll still on that same issue, but this angle. At the end of the day, most of the time, it's not the drivers that own the trucks. So what if a call comes from above, so to speak, says, release that fellow, right there and then. The guy has been impounded, the truck has been impounded for violating, the instructions that have been laid out for truckers, and for whatever reason, the guy is back there because there is a call from above. How do you handle that?
Well, that truck cannot go into the port because it's electronic. So even if you release the truck to the trucker has to take his truck away from that location, because if you impound a truck there, the impoundment would move the truck away from the road and take it to a site. There is a designated location that has been identified by LASMA where all such impounded trucks are taken. So to the extent that your truck has been impounded and the so-called big person calls, the truck would be released to that big person outside of the port corridors. So that would not constitute a nuisance for us.
At the end of, okay.
I mean, I was going to reference those images. It's not pleasant to see that kind of congestion, as it were. I believe some of them was actually on. Can you see? I mean, that's on the road. But I know that this e-callup was preceded by a manual callup system. It's literally the same thing, except that this is electronic. So how successful was that manual callup system?
Well, as I keep repeating, the manual callup did not have designated truck parks. So what all is sought to do was trucks that are coming in are sequenced to come in, but it doesn't say you must sit in a particular area. And another leg to it that I think is very critical for consignees and citizens is the aspect of returning of empty containers. I'm sure you're all aware when a consignee takes his cargo from the shipping company, he is required to return the empty container to the shipping company. And there's a deposit you give to the shipping company when you take their container. And once you return the container to the port, then they give you back your deposit. And consignees have been unable to return their empty containers within the period. So literally that deposit that is given by consignees are lost. So shipping companies have been making billions on that. So for every container, they literally automatically make the money for the deposit. You're required to return the container within a few days, and within those days, because of the gridlock, you always lose it. We have instituted a system where you take the empty container to an empty container holding bay outside the port, where there's no gridlock, there's nothing. So consignees, empty your box, return it to the empty container holding bay, collect your deposit. The shipping company is mandated to move those empty boxes from the shipping holding bay to the port. So it's no more your responsibility. One, you're also able to drop it within a period where you can collect your deposit. That is a fundamental, I think, game changer around the congestion, because about maybe 40 to 50% of the trucks, they are actually empty containers that are struggling to get into the port because of that deposit. So Nigerians and consignees now would be able to collect their money off the shipping companies, and the shipping companies will finally take responsibility of moving those empty boxes back into the port. We've had a lot of pushback from the shipping companies. They do not want to comply because this is an aspect of their business. It's not a business, but they're just making profit out of our inability to resolve our problem. So now everybody collect your deposit once you drop your box outside of the port environment. If you're unable to have access to the shipping holding bay, you have a helpline, you call us, and we mandate them to have that. Within the empty container policy, all shipping companies must take out commensurate number of containers they bring into Nigeria. Nigeria will not be a dumping ground for your empty boxes. Your holding bay must be 65% of the volumes of cargo you bring in every month. So that would mean all boxes you bring, you must take them out. And annually they register, they have a registration with Nigerian ports. If you don't meet those criteria, you will not be registered. So for 2021, that's what we've done, which made them comply. So we're going to start that off, and we hope it would work.
Well, you don't blame them for wanting to make money. It is money making anyway.
Yes.
That's why it's a business. But they say there is something critical that you have continually mentioned that is critical, again, to the success of this callup system that you've been talking about for a while, which is that of a park for the trucks. What other infrastructure are critical to the success of this callup system that is not in existence already?
We have the need for road networks linking those designated truck parks. Lagos State government has committed to providing any form of palliative required to enable access and navigation of articulated trucks outside from those locations to the park. And as we've always mentioned, we need to have intermodal transportation system. You can't have one transportation node servicing a port. You must have the rail, you must use inland waterways, you must use also the road. So we've seen the aggressive deployment of rail into the port locations, and we're hopeful that that would commence and that would enable us take a proportion of those cargo onto the rail. And then you also have the inland waterways, which we're also using now. We've been encouraging barge operations, and we're also embarking on a renewed barge licensing regime, which seeks to sanitize the operations of the barges, because they've also been abusing the system where they're loading too many containers on the barge, and you have areas where the barges may collapse. So Nigerian Ports Authority is working with LASWA, Lagos State Inland Waterways Authority, to ensure that we have, I'll say, safety mechanism deployed within our barge operations.
That barge operation thing you mentioned is critical, but we'll come to it in a bit. At the heart of all of the systems that you're talking about are people. callup, as my colleague said, once it is new, it comes with its own apparatus, so to speak.
Yes.
And it is a game changer. And change is something that is naturally resisted. How is the carry along going, or has it gone for people who are going to operate this call-up system so that it doesn't get frustrated within a short time?
We've done a lot of stakeholder consultation. Over the last 3 months, we've had extensive engagement with the stakeholders, taking them step by step on the concept itself, and also working them through how to download the app, what you need to do to access the port. So we've done a lot of that. We've also done radio jingles, created awareness, but I think it's more to start using it with technology is starting and commencing use. We're also going to deploy a dashboard, a public dashboard of the electronic callup, whereby citizens will be able to see the dashboard in public locations. So in the port area, when you arrive at the port locations, we're creating a dashboard where you'll be able to see truck ABC. You as a citizen can see the truck that came in. That would engender sort of confidence in the system, where they know it's first come, first serve, and we're working to identify those critical locations where we'll be able to mount those dashboards for people to see, so that they can have confidence that the system is transparent, nobody is jumping the queue, and then we move on. I feel that some of the things that inform the reason why the extortion is exciting is because a group of people control accessing the port. Now that it's electronic, it's not you and I, it's not NPA security or anybody, it is the system that generates first come, first serve. That would make people have more confidence when they see it happening, and also working with Nigerian ports. There will be glitches, definitely. There would be teething issues, definitely. But I believe in the long run, this is what would succeed. Within 0 to 3 months of implementation, we intend to address all of those teething issues. But importantly, we must start. I think that's what counts.
That's quite ambitious, 3 months.
Yes.
We look forward to it. Well, there's also the question of those trucks categorized under manufacturing concerns. How does it affect them? How does it work for them?
A window for them. They also have to log onto the Eto App. We have identified them as a category that need to access the port and take out their items. They also would be scheduled within the accepted period for them to go in and pick up their cargo. In the same way, we've also identified the reefer trucks, which are the refrigerated trucks that need priority access, agri-produce, and all of that. So those provisions have been made, recognizing the need for fast access to the port. We've also noted that some of the export cargoes have challenged with consolidation. So they're coming from the hinterland, they're doing their paperwork on the road, they're trying to do all of that. So we've identified a location inside Lily Pond Park where export cargo can be consolidated. You do all your customs documentation in that place. Customs would deploy an office there, and they would be able to conclude all such documentation. Then you now log on to the app and proceed to the port location.
You know, some would say that we're in this in the first place because of the pressure and just this one.
Yes.
And they tell you, I mean, it's not just this one. We have other ports. We have the Calabar Port Complex, the Delta Port in Warri. There's the Rivers Port Complex on a port in Rivers State. So is there a way you probably direct traffic and say, you know what, go that way, just so we can have other ports at least functioning as much as that and reduce the pressure on this one? We
have done, for example, we have reduced harbour dues for Calabar and Delta Port to encourage consignees to take their cargo to those locations. We have also expanded on the utilization of Onne Port as a container hub. One of the lessees of that location have actually so been overwhelmed by the cargoes that are now going to Onne Port, because we made it strategic policy in Nigerian ports to support Onne as a container hub. At the end of last year, we had the largest container vessel that have called into Nigeria, actually called in Onne Port, the trial call, because we wanted to direct a portion of the traffic to that location. But one of the key issues around it is the linkage between those ports to the final destination of the cargo.
I was going to take you up on that.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you referenced the alternative routes as well. One would want to, because it's the same thing that is happening in Lagos as well. You talked about all these other modes of,
so
getting around the ports. So what's the plan to engage those?
Yes, so for example, with Oneport, the road is an east-west road that is under Federal Ministry of Niger Delta. We've spoken with the minister. He's committed to deploying the resources to conclude that road. That road is a key road that connects Oneport to Sapele area, and that would make consignees comfortable. So if you bring your cargo, you know that you have a seamless outflow. We've also, the Honorable Minister of Transportation got the President to approve the linkage of all the ports to the rail connection. So that is also having that linkage. But priority is if I take my cargo to, for example, One, how easy is it for my cargo to get to my destination? That is the mind of the consignee. So I go to One and the road is bad, I can't get my cargo to Onitsha, for example, if that's where I want to go to. If I feel it's easier for me to come to Lagos and take my cargo to Onitsha, then I'll pick Lagos as my choice. Okay. So we must ensure that those linkages that links the port to the final destination would be a commercial hub, which is a hinterland, that is done. So we've written to Ministry of Works and we have that priority list for roads that needs to be done by Federal Ministry of Works, and they have been deploying. I would like to recognize that, and the Ministry of Works has been prioritizing the roads linking the ports.
Yeah, you talked about the rails. How soon before we have that linkage also up and running, to the best of your knowledge?
Oh, for Apapa and Tican Island, by the end of this first quarter, by April, I think, we would have that. In fact, there's some trial runs that are being done. And it's important to know that there was hitherto a marginal connection to the rail in Apapa. So this new rail deployment should be completed within the next few months.
And the other ports?
And the other ports, the infrastructure work hasn't been done, but the concept has been approved, and they're including it in the plan to ensure that it's done.
You know, it's interesting, a lot of things are tied to this. I mean, just recently, a lot of people have been raising concerns about trucks in the Amuwo-Dofin area, the Agor Palace area, illegal barge operations, and the rest. So this needs to actually work.
Yes.
Because if it works well, I imagine millions, residents in that area.
Absolutely.
And all that. Yes. Imagine millions will have headaches taken off them. So regarding punishment, really, yes, implementation and punishment, I think it's important. So in specific terms now, when you talk about the window that is given to them, just how much time do they have to obey that call-up and get their things and get out?
Well, what it, in terms of is compliance from the 27th. So if you are not part of the e-call-up, you will not go into the ports. So, that's it for that period. We're giving you up until 27th. All trucks going into the port must be from that. So, yeah.
I mean the window from when they tell you that your cargo is ready to be picked up. Yeah. Just how much time do they have to get there? It's
scheduling in batches.
Okay.
I cannot give the time because the truck parks are located in different parts of Lagos. So for a truck park, for example, we're working on Ahmed Bola Tinubu truck park, is 1 kilometer to the port. So that would definitely have a different time from another park that is way out of town. So all of those are scheduled and sequenced and batched so that they will not be congested. It is a seamless flow, recognizing all the ones that are also approved to proceed to the port.
You talked about the barges earlier. It would be remiss of us not to bring it up. Of course, all around Lagos, barges are springing up here and there, and clearly not in designated places. So if they are not licensed by NPA, who does that? Okay,
so let's just be clear. Anything cargo and water is NPA that comes to the mind. We license a barge operator. It's like a driver's license. You can operate your barge, but NPA does not now define where you go and park your barge or the jetty that you utilize. Okay. So, for example, NIWA licenses jetties, Lagos State Government does same, Nigerian Ports Authority does same. So, one is licensing the barge operation so that there's a minimum standard of operations of the barge itself. Then the next leg is ensuring that the jetties that are operational within the Lagos Piloted District have the necessary integrity and have the capacity to receive those barges. That is why we're working with all the agencies to see how we can synergize. Okay. So we give you license to drive your jetty, drive your barge. This is what I mean, yeah. And where you go to load your cargo or load a consignment.
It's nothing to do with the NPA.
As it relates to other jetties. We have some jetties that we pretend over, but there are also other jetties.
Go on.
But we're working with NIWA and LASWA to have an inspection team that is going around the whole of the waterways to identify those jetties and have them listed out and have them maintain a minimum standard of integrity in terms of the construction of those jetties to receive.
A very quick one before we let you go. What is the NPA doing to support businesses, particularly exporters who are ready to activate the AFCFTA?
One of the things that historically we've always had a priority desk for export of agric and solid minerals in each of the terminal operators. So every time we've been required to designate a terminal for such, we remind the Federal Ministry of Trade that every terminal operator wants export. It's business. So everybody wants the cargo to come. But what we need to do is to ensure that the documentation are done early. So, for example, what I referenced, that we've identified a place in Lily Pond where we would pack for export consolidation. So that is an area that would give you that place where you would do your paperwork. But we're also calling on the other agencies to simplify the process so that what does it mean if you have to export yam? So what are the processes that you need to do before you get here? So it's not when you arrive Lagos and you're in the port and your yam is getting rotten, that is when you're getting your documentations clear. But we have done that in identifying a location within the Lily Pond terminal.
So that's the new direction, the Eto App, you call
Yes,
it.
it is.
What Eto, by the way?
Eto is said to be organized, arranged in Yoruba.
Eto.
Eto.
There you go.
Yes.
So we're speaking with Mrs. Hadiza Bala Usman, the MD Manager and Port Authority. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
So let's go on a quick break. We'll be back.